Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming today's guests of honor to the stage. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, online viewers worldwide, welcome to the 2024 Tang Prize Award announcement. My name is Grace Huang, your MC for today. From June 18th to the 21st, the Tang Prize Foundation has announced the laureates of the 2024 Tang Prize in Sustainable Development, Biopharmaceutical Science, Sinology, and Rule of Law. In today's press conference, the 2024 Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law will be unveiled. To begin with, I'd like to introduce the guests of honor that are here with us today. Dr. Zhang Wenzhen, Chair of the Tang Prize Selection Committee in Rule of Law. Dr. Li Peirong, Postdoctoral Researcher, College of Law, National Taiwan University. And Dr. Chen Zhenchuan, CEO of the Tang Prize Foundation. To kick off, I would like to invite Dr. Chen Zhenchuan, CEO of the Tang Prize Foundation, to give us the opening remarks. Dr. Chen, please.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Tang Prize Foundation and its founder, Dr. Samuel Yin, I welcome you to the announcement of the 2024 Tang Prize in Rule of Law. Established in 2012 by Dr. Samuel Yin, the Tang Prize is an international award that embodies the principle of sustainable development. The four categories of Tang Prize, namely sustainable development, biopharmaceutical science, sinology, and rule of law, address critical issues for humanity as we confront the challenges of the 21st century. The Tang Prize in Rule of Law encompasses due process and substantive justice. It champions peace, human rights, and sustainable development in order to serve the common good of humankind and nature. The Tang Prize Foundation is honored to have established a prestigious international award in this field. This award aims to recognize and reward individuals and organizations for their outstanding contributions to the realizations of the rule of law and to inspire global cooperation for a better future. Today, we are proud to announce the recipients of the Tang Prize in Rule of Law. The Foundation would also like to thank the selection committee and its chair, Professor Zhang Wenzhen, for their tireless efforts. Congratulations to all the soon-to-be announced Tang Prize laureate, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chen, for the opening remarks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Chair of the Tang Prize Selection Committee in Rule of Law, Dr. Zhang Wenzhen, to announce the 2024 Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law for us.
I'm honored to announce the 2024 Tang Prize Rule of Law is awarded to Professor Mary Robinson. The prize is awarded her for her powerful advocacy on behalf of the most disadvantaged in different spheres, including gender equality, poverty alleviation, human rights, and climate justice. Her passionate endeavors demonstrated an effective combination of legal acumen and practical solutions. From the national to the political, legal and political, she innovatively transformed and expanded the various positions in which she served to strengthen the rule of law. Now, I would like to briefly introduce Professor Mary Robinson to you. Professor Mary Robinson is a human rights lawyer. In very earlier career stage, she successfully litigated on gender equality, human rights, and later on, she served as a law professor, teaching in the areas of constitutional law and criminal justice. She was also a former senator and a former president of Ireland. Most well known of her work is when she served as the United Nations Human Rights High Commissioner. She was the second to that position, but she was ever the first woman to that position. During her tenure, she focused her work on gender equality, women's rights, poverty alleviation for the most vulnerable. She also focused on the human rights responsibility of private actors, as well as climate justice. Afterwards, she was appointed as the UN Special Envoy on Climate Change. And during that position, she was the first to promote women's participation in climate-related decision-making. She was also the first to emphasize the gender equality and the importance of women's equal rights in addressing climate change responses. All in all, from the international to the national, from the political to the legal, Professor Mary Robinson innovatively transformed the various positions in which she served to promote human rights, gender equality, the rights of the minority, and most importantly, rule of law. We are really honored to award the 2024 Tang Prize Rule of Law to Professor Mary Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zhang, for unveiling this year's Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law. And next, please join me to welcome postdoctoral researcher of the College of Law, National Taiwan University, Dr. Li Peirong, to introduce the Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law and to give the award citation.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the laureate of the 2024 Tang Prize in Rule of Law, Professor Mary Robinson. Professor Mary Robinson is currently the chair of the elders, also the adjunct professor for climate justice at Trinity College, Dublin, where she obtained her LLB degree in 1967. Same year, she was called to the Irish bar, and then she completed her study in Harvard University and obtained her LLM degree in 1968. Her areas of interest included constitutional law, criminal law, European human rights law, international human rights law, international humanitarian law, and climate justice. Professor Robinson is a human rights lawyer and law professor, and is also known for some of her past positions, such as the former president of Ireland, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, and other UN official roles, such as the UN Special Envoy. She is also a global voice for gender equality, human rights, and justice. She was the chair of the Council of Women World Leaders. She was also the founding members of the Elders. The Elders is an independent group of global leaders working together for peace, justice, human rights, and a sustainable planet, founded by Nelson Mandela in 2007. And as mentioned before, she currently holds the position as the chair. Professor Robinson has obtained global recognition for her remarkable contributions to human rights and justice. To name a few of the honors and awards she has received from around the world, this would include the Erasmus Prize, the Sydney and Indira Gandhi Peace Prize, and most recently the US Presidential Medal of Freedom as well as the Knight of Freedom Award. She also received honorary doctorates from over 60 universities all around the world. This brief introduction would now lead us to the significant contribution of Professor Mary Robinson in promoting the rule of law. As mentioned before, Professor Robinson began her career as a human rights lawyer. At this very early stage of her career, she advanced important insights in numerous landmark cases on gender equality and personal autonomy before the domestic court in Ireland, as well as the European Court of Human Rights. Through her efforts, she promoted the development and implementation of human rights in Ireland, and most importantly, she geared the human rights protection in Ireland to the regional standards. To name some leading or landmark cases represented by her, before the Supreme Court of Ireland, we have McGee versus Attorney General case in 1973 regarding importation of contraceptives. We have the Burka versus Attorney General in 1975 regarding women's right to sit on juries. We have Murphy versus Attorney General in 1981 on taxation of married couples. And further, before the European Court of Human Rights, we have Airy versus Ireland in 1979 regarding state responsibility to provide legal aid in civil cases. We also have the very well-known case of Norris versus Ireland in 1988 regarding the criminalization of homosexuality. Her transformative impact in Ireland was further shown by her works when she sat in the Senate between 1969 to 1989. During her term of office, she introduced significant gender equality bills and pushed for reformation in the face of a relative conservative society, shaping consensus as well as stimulating further public discussion. Professor Mary Robinson was also the first woman president of Ireland, holding the office between 1990 to 1997. She fought for human rights throughout her time in office and transformed the function of this largely ceremonial position by bringing impacts not only at home, but also at abroad. She was the first foreign head of state to visit Somalia following the 1992 famine and Rwanda after the 1994 genocide, raising global awareness on pressing human rights crisis that needs urgent responses. Following her time as president, Professor Robinson was appointed as the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and served in that role from 1997 to 2002. The High Commissioner for Human Rights is the principal human rights official of the United Nations, and Professor Robinson was the first woman who assumed this responsibility. She traveled around the world to strengthen human rights monitoring and drew global attention to the human rights and justice issue faced by the most disadvantaged groups in the world. She also bravely addressed sensitive issues. This would include the right of the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay. She was also the first High Commissioner to visit Tibet. She is known to have integrated human rights into the United Nations system. She urged the UN system to take proactive actions to enhance the progress of human rights protection at the international level. Aside from her official roles in Ireland and in global stage, Professor Robinson's active engagement in intergovernmental or non-governmental organizations, they would include her current position in the LDS, has been very remarkable. making her a globally recognized voice on essential human rights and justice issues faced by the most disadvantaged groups at different spheres. This would include the human rights responsibility of private actors, gender equality, right of child, poverty alleviation, regional peace, and many more. She also promotes the idea of climate justice. She highlighted the intersectionality of climate emergency and linked it with the gender and justice dimension. As a matter of fact, climate change is never gender neutral, and often it worsens the already existing gender inequality. And Professor Robinson believes that making women's voice heard is the key to achieve climate justice. She therefore brought the idea of gender equality into the global agenda of climate change with the goal to ensure sufficient protection of women and sexual minorities and encourage their participation in the decision-making process when shaping the climate change responses. Professor Robinson is also a dedicated legal scholar. She practices and teaches law for decades at the same time, and she effectively combined education and practice with her experience. Also, her scholarship and practice reinforce each other. Through her academic writing and publication, courses and lectures delivered around the world, all ongoing, she continues to inspire young generations, passing on her unwavering values. Below are the selected publications of Professor Mary Robinson. In sum, Professor Robinson's contribution to the rule of law is exceptional. The evolution of her roles from being an academic, barrister, legislator, national leader, and finally a global voice all shows her consistency and tireless endeavors to bring legal dimension to real practice. She is a champion of human rights and justice for the most disadvantaged. She led the world to focus on important human rights and justice issues and demonstrated powerful advocacy for the most disadvantaged in different spheres, including gender equality, poverty alleviation, human rights, and climate justice. She is also a global leader with legal acumen. She seamlessly combined a lawyer's meticulous attention to legal details, a legislator's pursuit of practical solutions, with a human rights advocate's passion for justice. And from national to global, legal and political, she innovatively transformed and expanded the various positions in which she has served to strengthen the rule of law. This will conclude my introduction to Professor Mary Robinson, the laureate of the 2024 Tang Prize in Rule of Law. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for the introduction. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's watch a video from the Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law, Professor Mary Robinson.
Well, I must say it was a complete surprise, and I wasn't quite sure what prize. And then I remembered that another elder, Gru Brundtland, got a big prize for her work on development, on sustainable development, some years ago. I think she was the first prize winner of the sustainable development. So that gave me some indication of the nature of the prize, because I remember that she not only was happy to receive the prize, but she said it was very well organized. I'm looking forward very much to my first visit to Taiwan for the ceremony at the end of September, and I will be very keen to learn as much as possible in a short time. And I'm happy to learn more, especially learn more about why people say that artificial intelligence may not penetrate as much with false information in Taiwan because you have a very good local system of democracy and rule of law.
Congratulations to Professor Mary Robinson. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us at the 2024 Tang Prize Award announcement in Rule of Law. The Tang Prize Award ceremony will be held on September 27th this year. We look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.